Look at this satellite image of the Korean peninsula at night. To the north and south, you see glowing lights of South Korea and China, bustling with economic prosperity. But right in the middle sits 25 million people trapped in almost total darkness. This blackout zone is officially called the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or DPRK. But as history shows, calling a country democratic doesn't mean its citizens actually have a voice. Every detail of daily life is micromanaged by the government. In a barbershop, you can't just ask for whatever style you want. The state mandates that men and women must choose their hairstyle from a strict list of exactly 15 approved options. Even your clothing is heavily policed. Blue jeans are banned because the regime views them as an extension of foreign culture. If you are caught wearing them, street-level fashion police will stop you and slash the fabric to pieces right there on the sidewalk. All of these rules exist to maintain the authority of a single family, which has ruled the country for more than 75 years. Today, that absolute power rests with the current dictator, Kim Jong-un. He sits at the top of a political dynasty that has engineered the total subjugation of 25 million people across 3 generations. Sustaining this system for decades requires a masterclass in psychological control. The regime divides its entire population into a rigid 3-tier caste system known as songbun. From birth, you are classified as core, wavering, or hostile, based on your family's political history. This label dictates where you live, what job you do, and the exact food rations the government provides. The state directs its resources to reward the loyalists in the core class. They are granted the privilege of living in the colorful, window-dressed capital city of Pyongyang. Meanwhile, citizens designated as hostile are banished to rural areas, legally banned from coming within 50 kilometers of the city limits. The Kim family also forces the population to worship past leaders as actual deities. Citizens are required to bow before these massive bronze statues of Kim's father and grandfather, elevating a political dictatorship into a state religion. But the most effective tool of control is the secret police. They divide every neighborhood into blocks where residents are encouraged to monitor and report on each other. People are terrified to speak openly, even with their own parents or children. When the state forces family members to monitor each other, human trust collapses. If you suspect your own daughter might report you to the secret police, you stop talking, making coordinated resistance a massive personal risk. This fear is enforced through a legal doctrine, the law of guilt by association. If one person commits a political mistake, the punishment falls on their entire bloodline. The regime condemns 3 generations of that person's family to life in a prison camp. Condemned families are sent to prison camps holding up to 120,000 people. Satellite imagery reveals the scale of these high-security blocks. Here, Shin Dong-hyuk was born into captivity because his uncle fled to South Korea. The state labeled Shin's blood impure from birth. The camp systematically dismantled his humanity. Prisoners were kept in a state of severe starvation, forced to eat grass and rats to survive. When Shin was 13 years old, he overheard his own mother and brother planning to escape. Driven entirely by manufactured hunger, the young boy reported them to the guards, hoping for a reward of extra food. 7 months later, the guards gathered the inmates together and forced Shin to the front row. There, he watched as the regime publicly executed his mother by hanging and his brother by firing squad. The regime manages to dismantle human morality using manufactured terror and starvation. Even inside a high-security prison, the most effective barrier is the fear that forces a child to betray his mother for a bowl of food. For decades, the Soviet Union provided cheap oil and food to keep North Korea afloat. But when the USSR collapsed in the 1990s, those vital subsidies vanished, and the North Korean economy crashed. A massive famine swept through the country. It is estimated that anywhere from 500,000 to 2 million people starved to death, with families reduced to eating grass and hunting frogs to survive. During this crisis, a profound irony emerged. Men were legally required to continue working their government-assigned jobs, even though their monthly salaries were practically worthless. Since the men were trapped in these empty roles, The women of North Korea had to step outside the official system to feed their families. Women across the country began gathering to trade food and supplies. They built a network of underground illegal black markets known as jangmadong. As the famine subsided, these food markets evolved. Women started using the jangmadong to smuggle and sell foreign goods, illegal medicines, and electronics. By failing to provide basic rations during the famine, the government forced its people to build their own decentralized economy. These markets have become so essential to daily survival that the regime now struggles to contain the very system it accidentally created. These markets are now moving something far more dangerous than food: information. Smugglers are bringing in USB drives loaded with South Korean dramas and Hollywood films, exposing the average citizen to the prosperity of the outside world. Consuming this media is incredibly risky. If caught, citizens face years of hard labor or even public execution. Families hide in the dark, turning off their lights and covering their windows just to watch a single movie at a barely audible volume. But this illegal activity is rewiring North Korean society. The shared secret of watching foreign media is counteracting the secret police's agenda. It is creating a new currency of trust among neighbors who previously viewed each other as potential spies. Widespread bribery is also bypassing the regime's strict laws. The very government officials tasked with enforcing these rules now rely on bribes from the jangmadong for their own income, proving that the dictator's absolute power is actively rotting from the inside out. The most persistent threat to this regime comes from ordinary citizens armed with outside information. As the illusion of a perfect state begins to rot from within, it serves as a reminder that personal choices, from the movies you watch to the clothes you wear, should belong to you alone.